Tasty. Tasty human flesh. It's time. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Hold my hand, chat. Hold my hand. Redeems off, nice.
Bob Hayward, a highway patrol officer from Salt Lake City, sits in his car in front of his house on Hogan Street. He's just finishing his shift when a tan Volkswagen Beetle passes by with its lights turned off. Hayward knows his neighborhood and realizes this car is most likely not from here. The officer goes on and checks. The Volkswagen Beetle parks right in front of his neighbor's house. The owners are not home. Only their 17 and 19-year-old daughters, alone. He turns on his brights to read the license plate. This startles the driver and he speeds away. Hayward chases him. The driver blows past one and then another stop sign. Hayward has no intention of letting the man escape. A few minutes later, the Beetle finally stops at an abandoned gas station. A man gets out of his vehicle with his hands up. He wears blue jeans, a black turtleneck, and tennis shoes. He has shoulder-long dark hair and smells of weed.
Oh, I thought he had red gloves on, but it's just the color of the skin, huh?
Hayward points his gun at him. The man says he's a law student and was at the local drive-in watching Towering Inferno. He got lost on his way home. The only problem is that Hayward drove by the theater earlier. Towering Inferno was not being shown that night.
He was scoping
The officer
him out.
checks the man's car and sees something very strange. The passenger seat is missing. In its place is an open bag with multiple very strange items.
It's a gimp suit! And a screwdriver! And gloves.
A ski mask, a crowbar, an ice pick, a box of trash bags, gloves, a pantyhose, rope, and some wire. In the trunk, Hayward also discovers a pair of handcuffs.
I'm going to arrest you tonight for evading an officer, mister. But I intend to ask the county attorney for a complaint against you for possession of burglary tools.
Back at the police station, the man gets registered and photographed. While he had the necessary tools, there was no burglary to directly link them to. But without any evidence, he is free to leave the station on bail. Bob Hayward is suspicious. He's convinced that the man wanted to break into his neighbor's house with those two girls.
They let him go after that? This is definitely old police work for sure.
Inside. Though it was only much later that Hayward would realize the man he arrested that night was none other than America's most infamous killer, Ted Bundy. And it will take a lot more to finally catch him.
He's not a wild beast to look at or to hear.
Her viciously biting her.
He was thoughtful, charismatic.
And clubbing her to death.
He was quite
Yeah, it was a sociopath. What do you mean?
personable.
Slow down, my young friend. You think you can touch the sky?
I don't know if this music's copyrighted, so I'm gonna kind of talk over it. I actually don't know if it's like copyrighted or not. La 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 la. Just pretend that. Doggo! There's a dog involved. That's Pog. Wait, what the hell is this guy dancing?
The 70s and 80s are the era of serial killers in the US. Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Charles Manson.
I wonder why. Is it because everyone has phones now, so like there's not that many like serial killer cases?
But one of them stands out. Ted Bundy. He's handsome, articulate,
drugs,
likable, even.
Well, I'm sure it works, and you've got to have faith it'll work, or else you'd be reduced to some kind of, mumbling idiot.
Theodore Robert Bundy was born on November 24th, 1946. He's a smart boy and grows up in a relatively normal working-class family.
Also because DNA directly links suspects.
There was no DNA testing in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, true. True that!
I grew up in a wonderful home with two dedicated and loving parents, one of 5 brothers and sisters.
Born evil.
A home where we as children were the focus of my parents' lives, where we regularly attended church, 2 Christian parents who did not drink, they did not smoke, there was no gambling, there was no physical abuse or fighting in the home, but it was a fine, solid Christian home.
But not everything is all right with Ted. From as early of an age as 3 years old, he does strange things. When his aunt is sleeping,
animals.
he arranges kitchen knives around her. When outside playing in the forest, he frequently takes apart mice. When swimming, he
That's a big sign, by the way. If you ever see little kids taking apart animals, it's not like a direct correlation, but it is a sign. Yeah, it's a massive red flag. Alright, do we have an ad? Alright, we'll wait. I'm more than willing to wait. Yeah. I will wait for the people in the ad. I love animals as a kid, never cut them up. Yeah, no, it's a really big sign that you just don't care about, like, the value of life, I guess.
You know Ted Bundy used to work the suicide hotline and was reportedly really good at it?
I did not know that. He's also a sociopath and a psychopath, so... I don't know. Humans are weird. Alana the Considerate. Man, you're giving me a nice title. Like, stopping it or... Yes, I'm stopping the video until we get all the ads done. Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da. That's exactly why I was good at it. He didn't get stressed out by it. Yeah, that's also a really good point. If you're a sociopath or a psychopath, you just don't care. You don't get stressed out by some woman screaming at or like telling the world that she wants to, you know, eat a bullet. Yeah. Alright, ads are over. Massive piss. Lieutenant, thank you! Thank you. Alright, 3, 2, 1, boom.
more than once tries to drown others. He never shows any signs of guilt. For a few years, he and his mother lived together with his grandparents. His family is religious, his grandfather a deacon. But the grandfather is also abusive and violent, a racist wife-beater and collector of violent porn. Despite all this, Bundy adores him and regularly peeks into his collection.
Oh my
Ted
God!
is intelligent and good-looking, but he is also very shy. A loner who is often bullied at school, he sometimes has serious outbursts of rage and does not quite fit in with the other kids his age. During his first years at college, Ted is insecure and has almost no social life. A positive memory for him is when he buys a 1968 tan Volkswagen.
Aww, a car!
It gives him a sense of freedom and independence. Over time, Ted Bundy builds the perfect mask.
It's an essential dancing.
He appears as a confident and charming young man now, graduates in psychology, starts dating girls, and attends law school.
Okay.
But he doesn't care much about the law himself. As a teenager, Bundy had a lengthy history of theft. When he turned 18,
young crimes when you're a teenager, like serious crimes. I'm not talking about like small crimes like petty theft and stuff. Like bigger crimes where you can get arrested, that's a big sign of like problems with children as well.
it was wiped. But the desire to commit a crime grows and grows inside him. On February 1st, 1974, Bundy breaks into a student's home, abducts and kills his very first victim, Linda Ann Healy.
Poor lady.
Bundy's victims are always attractive young women. He approaches them in public places, faking an injury or disability and luring them to his car. When his charm and good looks convinces the women that he is no threat, he beats them unconscious. For the bodies, he has a place on the floor of his tan Volkswagen, right where the passenger seat used to be. He drives to a secluded location where he brutally rapes, strangles, and kills them, often not even stopping there.
Oh my God.
Every month, more and more women disappear, first in Washington, then in Utah. The public is afraid. The police are desperate. For a very long time, nobody has a clue who did all this or how to find them.
That's so
Before
fucked
Ted
up.
Bundy, the term serial killer simply did not exist in people's minds. His facade is always well maintained. He even briefly works for the Seattle Crime Commission and writes a rape prevention pamphlet for women.
Of course! Yeah, if you work with a place where you're like... If you commit a crime, it's very common for serial killers to, like, go back to their crimes or, like, be related in that way to the crime. It's like irony, I guess. It's, like, funny to them.
Bundy knows exactly how to not leave any evidence. DNA tests were not yet invented, and even if the police would find something, departments at the time rarely shared information across state borders. But on November 8th, 1974, Ted Bundy makes a crucial mistake. He leaves a witness. If these murders had happened today, the hunt for Bundy might have ended much sooner. Fingerprint matching and other computing techniques have transformed police work over the last decades.
DNA evidence,
Data science is relevant in countless fields today, and it's not magic. Brilliant can be a great first step to get your foot in the door. With Brilliant, you learn by doing, engaging with thousands of interactive lessons in math, data analysis, and programming, and AI. Hands-on problem solving is up to 6 times more effective than watching videos.
That was pretty
What are you
good,
doing
actually.
here?
Not gonna lie.
Sorry. That's why Brilliant's courses encourage you to explore different concepts creatively. And the best part, you don't have to dedicate hours on end for learning. You can learn whenever, wherever.
Yeah, it's
To
a
try
progress
everything
bar.
Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, scan this QR code or visit brilliant.org/fern or click on the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Carol DeRanche is 18 years old. She's driving her 1974 maroon Camaro onto the parking lot of a Sears mall. She parks under a light and walks into the building. Carol is looking for books and stands just outside of Weldon's bookstore when a man approaches her. He introduces himself as Officer Rosalind from the Murray Police Department. He is polite and well-dressed. Someone was trying to break into your car, he says. Then asks the woman whether they should check if anything is missing. She agrees and they both go back to the parking lot. Carol looks into her Camaro, but everything is there. The police officer tells her that the suspect is back at the police station. If she joins him, they could file a complaint.
Why would you go with someone that's not in uniform? I don't know. Kinda sus. Kinda sus.
Carol smells a slight whiff of alcohol and starts feeling uneasy. But the officer shows her a badge and she agrees to come with him. They go to the officer's vehicle, but it's not a police car. It's a tan Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah, that's another one. Like, that's
Maybe
weird.
he's undercover, Carol thinks.
Not in a freaking Beetle.
She feels a bit nervous, but gets into the car anyway.
A
A few minutes later, the man stops the car at an elementary school. He suddenly grabs her arm and handcuffs her. Carol starts screaming when he pulls out a gun. No! Carol is terrified. Luckily, she realizes that her handcuffs aren't attached to anything. So she grabs the door and quickly jumps out of the car. The man chases after her and pulls out a crowbar. He hits the woman once, twice, but Carol holds up her arms in defense, fighting for her life.
Oh my god.
Another car is approaching. Carol manages to break loose, runs away, and jumps into the other car. She goes straight to the police and reports the man who introduced himself as Officer Rosalind and his Volkswagen tan Beetle.
She got away.
Bob Hayward is so unsettled by the man he arrested. The next day he mentions him to his brother, Captain Pete Hayward, a homicide detective. The detectives at the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office immediately recognize the car. A year ago, a woman in Seattle reported suspicious behavior by her boyfriend. She saw an eyewitness drawing from a kidnapping that looked just like him.
I don't know if that looks just like him. Not gonna lie, I don't think that looks like Mr. Bundy, but okay.
The woman's boyfriend also had a tan Volkswagen. 10 women have gone missing, and the man is on the list of suspects.
Close enough, yeah.
The detectives start connecting the dots and invite Carol to police lineup. 8 suspects in total are standing in line, including the man Bob Hayward arrested a few weeks ago. When Carol DeRanche sees them, she immediately identifies the fake officer. On March 1st, 1976, Bundy is sentenced to 15 years in prison for the attempted kidnapping of Carol DeRanche. The investigation picks up pace, and the police manage to connect him to another case.
Nice.
23-year-old Karen Campbell. In October 1976, Bundy is sent to Colorado to stand
Look
trial
at that
again.
smile.
This time,
He's got those crazy eyes, chat. Those are the crazy eyes. I'm not even joking. It's like the weird, really wide pupils. Yeah.
for murder. If only his story ended here.
Definitely sane. He looks crazy.
In his second trial, Bundy decides to defend himself in court. He is a law student after all, and a very confident one. For that, Bundy receives slightly more freedom from the judge than other prisoners. A typewriter, a desk, unlimited and untapped phone calls, and access to the law library in the courthouse. There he can move freely without shackles or handcuffs.
Does he escape? I don't remember.
Bundy's trial is in full swing. During a recess, he goes to the library. His guard is in the hallway, smoking a cigarette. It is a sunny day. The sky is blue. And Ted Bundy jumps from a second-story window.
I freaking knew it. I'm not gonna lie, Chad. I know about Ted Bundy, but I remember... I thought I was like, doesn't he escape? Because they, like, didn't... They just let him go?
The fall is hard, but after landing, he immediately runs across the street, over a fence, and into an alleyway. From there, he sprints to a river, and from there, straight to the mountains. Bundy planned his escape for weeks, jumping from his bunk bed to strengthen his ankles, going through his exact escape route again and again, putting on a second layer of clothes under his courtroom outfit, practicing how fast he can change, getting a haircut, shaving his beard.
That's actually really smart. He would have broken his ankles if he fell that far without practicing.
A woman rushes into the courthouse and informs a guard that she saw a man jumping from one of the windows. The guards immediately sweep the floor. From the moment Bundy leapt from the windows, it takes them 10 minutes to realize he's gone. The police set up roadblocks. They send bloodhounds into the mountains and tell the residents to lock their doors. Radio stations and newspapers quickly cover the escape. 150 policemen are now hunting a killer on the loose.
Get him, doggos.
Ted Bundy wanders through the mountains. He has nothing with him. No money, no food, no plan. Only a light shirt and his pants, and since he defended himself in court, a map of the area that was used in the trial. A whole day, he hikes up the grassy hills and by nightfall manages to cross the Aspen Mountain. The next morning, however, is cold and rainy. So instead of wandering further south, he tracks back and finds a small cabin, where he stays for the night. On day 3, Bundy leaves the cabin, now better equipped. He has some food, warm clothes, and a rifle. On this day, the FBI joins the manhunt, bringing in helicopters. Despite the map, Bundy gets lost. When a rainstorm hits, he becomes even more disoriented. The cold is doing the rest. He eventually starts walking in circles and lands back at the cabin. There, he finds tracks of the search party. They're onto him. For 5 full days, Bundy is hiking through the hills. With his ankles swollen and his food running low, he finds himself back in Aspen. His only chance of escape is to find a car. At a golf course, he finally finds an old Cadillac with the keys inside. It's the morning of the 6th day of Bundy's escape. 2 police officers see a Cadillac zigzagging on the road. They stop the car, assuming it's a drunk driver. Instead, they find a sober but weak Ted Bundy. He lost over 20 pounds and barely managed to steer the car. His nose is wrapped in Band-Aid, and he wears glasses, but the officers easily recognize him. He is arrested only 2 blocks from where he jumped out of the window.
Good.
Back in custody, Bundy now also faces charges for escape. He has to wear shackles and handcuffs when in court. It matters little to him.
I cannot believe they didn't put shackles on him before that.
Almost immediately, he starts planning another escape.
Again.
A guard brings Ted Bundy a warm meal to his cell and leaves, but Bundy doesn't touch it. Instead, he lifts himself up into a small hole in his ceiling. In the weeks prior, he used a hacksaw he got from another inmate on an already loose light fixture to cut open a hole. To fit in there, he had to lose weight, so he reduced his meal sizes by constantly complaining about the food as a cover. Bundy is prepared. He accumulated $700 from donations for his defense. In the weeks before his escape, he used the trapdoor regularly, searching for a way out, and he found one. The vent leads to a small apartment of a prison guard. Bundy crawls through the tight shaft. When he reaches the apartment, he hears voices. The guard and his wife are eating dinner. Bundy just sits there, waiting for his opportunity.
No way!
The woman says, "Let's go to a movie tonight." "Sure, why not?" the guard replies. A few minutes later, the door slams shut, and Bundy drops into the apartment's bedroom. He puts on a pair of blue jeans, a gray turtleneck, and blue tennis shoes.
He's
then he
like
walks
that
out of the
Japanese
street
guy.
to the front door. This time, it takes the guards 17 hours before they realize what just happened. Bundy has long vanished.
Uh-oh. Dude, that's crazy. Another escape.
It is a quiet night on campus. The parties have mostly ended, and the local nightclub is closed for over an hour now. Nita Neary comes back from a date with her boyfriend. When she tries to enter her sorority house, Chi Omega, she notices that the door is unlocked.
Oh no.
She enters and finds that the lights are still on. A few seconds later, she hears a loud noise from upstairs, followed by footsteps. A man comes rushing down the stairs. He's holding some kind of club in his hand. He hastily opens the front door and runs outside. Nita wakes up the others, and they soon realize a monster has been in their house. 4 young women have been assaulted. 2 of them will die.
Oh my god.
In the following weeks, Ted Bundy tries abducting multiple women, but
You just know at this point, he doesn't care about getting caught. He just wants to do as much damage as possible.
always fails. Until he finds 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. The girl is out in the rain. She is running across a basketball court to another classroom at her school when Bundy signals the girl to come over. She does.
This sick fricker.
David Lee, a patrol officer from Pensacola, sits in his car when an orange Volkswagen passes by with its lights turned off. Lee knows his area well and realizes this car is most likely not from here. He follows the driver and checks the license plate. The car is stolen. Lee turns on his police lights and the car starts to speed away. But David Lee has no intention of letting the man escape. A few minutes later, the Beetle finally stops. Bundy must have had a strange feeling of deja vu at this point. This time, Bundy will not just get out of the car with his hands up. He will not say he's a student who watched a movie and got lost on his way home. This time, Bundy decides to fight. He gets out of the car. The officer points a gun at him. When the officer tries to cuff Bundy, he hits him in the face, kicks him off his feet. The officer fires a warning shot, and Bundy runs. Lee, now running right behind Ted, fires another shot, and the man falls to the ground. But Bundy hasn't been shot. It's a trick to grab the officer's gun. He fails. The officer hits Bundy with his pistol and manages to arrest him.
Oh my god.
The hunt for America's most infamous killer has finally ended.
That was kind of anticlimactic, not gonna lie. The trick, too. Damn. Yeah, get that sick son of a bitch.
Bundy's trial began for the murders at the Chi Omega sorority house. Soon after, he went to court for 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. Bundy tried to defend himself, and in both cases pleaded not guilty. 1 month later, on July 23rd, Ted Bundy was sentenced to death.
Yeah.
A few days before his execution, Bundy confessed to a total of 36 murders. Newer DNA samples showed that Bundy might have murdered over 100 people, starting his killings at the age of 14. What makes the trial of Ted Bundy stand out is not only his charming and likable demeanor, the ruthlessness of his murders, or even the fact that he managed to escape from prison twice. What makes Bundy's trial stand out was the trial itself. It was the first ever in U.S. history to be shown on national television.
3 murders, but is believed to be the killer of perhaps 40 women.
Just another death row.
They will never confirm them, too. He can say 100 and people will be like, I don't know, like, there was a lot of murders back then.
Inmate convicted.
That's sad.
Since he defended himself in court, he had many opportunities to show his charming personality to the public. And many people were fascinated by him, especially young women.
They were fangirls, man. That always blew my mind, and that still happens to this day. This was in 1977, this happened. 1978 or something? Yeah, there's crazy women that do this. It's so weird.
Are you a little scared when you look at him?
Yes, it scares me to be in the same room with him, but I know there's other people in there.
I'm not afraid of him. He just doesn't look like the type to kill somebody. turns around, I kind of get that feeling, oh no, you know, he's gonna get me next, you know.
But yeah, you're
Oh yeah, get me next. Yeah, woohoo, yeah.
Very, very.
Why do you do it?
I don't know.
From all those women in the courtroom,
Y'all laugh, but there was those Tumblr fangirls that that were crazy over that guy that blew up a bunch of people, the Boston bombing or something. I forget. There was like a couple, but I'm pretty sure there was one. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, there was another one like that too. Yeah, Boston bomber fangirls. Yes, it's true. They used to do that all over Tumblr. They would go crazy.
there is one who stood out. She believed in Bundy's innocence almost to the very end.
So
Carol
crazy.
Ann Boone,
Yeah.
Bundy's girlfriend. He proposed to her during court. After his conviction, they even had a child together.
Carol, do you want to marry me? Yes. And I want to marry you. Yes. And I do want to marry you.
Bundy's trial
Look at that smile too, that little smile
became
at the
an
end.
unprecedented media sensation. People all across the country could watch a killer fighting for his life, trying to evade his death again and again for years. On the last day before his execution, television crews from all over the country came to Florida State Prison. Thousands of people gathered. They had signs with them and fireworks.
At one point, the celebration got out of hand.
T-shirts were sold, with a phrase you could hear people chanting, "Burn, Bundy, burn."
Yeah. Charisma build evil playthrough. Sociopaths are very, very scary because there's a quote in I know it's cringe to compare it to like books and fiction, but there's a certain truth to it.
He also was what started that the police stepped now having a national database on criminals. That is why he was able to get away so much.
Yeah,
As the
yeah.
police didn't talk to each other.
That was a big deal too. I totally agree. It was like what, 50 years ago now, like 60 years ago. Yeah, back then they didn't have computers that were like, you know, integral to each other. But there was a quote somewhere in a book. I forget. It's like your hand touches mine, but I feel absolutely nothing when it happens because I don't feel anything for you because you are not another person to me. I am just myself. Yeah, like I feel nothing for you. Isn't that American Psycho? I think it was, yeah. I know. Yeah, I am the main character. You don't matter to me. And that's what sociopaths are. They're like a mask underneath something that does not feel for anything whatsoever. Like, you can try and understand them and cope, but it's just not real. It's scary.
On January 24th, 1989, after spending 10 years on death row, Bundy was executed via electric chair. The person who flipped the switch was a woman.
Basically. A woman killed him. A clanker. Kinda, yeah, like a robot, yeah. They're pretending to be human.
Slow down, my young friend. You think you can touch the sky.
Shocking.
Where did it
Shocking.
all go wrong? Where did it all go wrong?
Aww.
Slow down, my young friend.
07.
You think you can touch the sky. Where
07, 07, 07. Bow. Bow, bow, down, bow, bow, bow. 1989. Yeah, that's a big year for sure. That was a cool documentary. Yeah, he got away twice. Dude, the fact that the guy was practicing falling from his bed to strengthen his ankles was crazy.
Yeah.